Hello and welcome back to another episode of this week's watches, and this week we have 10 incredible watches for you guys and girls on the table. Just as every week, I'm trying to keep it at 10, somewhere between 8 and 12, but 10 I think is the sweet spot, and it seems a lot of you guys and girls agree. If you have a different opinion, let me know down in the comments how many you think is best. And again, with the drop system, so quickly before we get onto all the other stuff, as always, down in the description there is a link to every single watch on the table as well as a timestamp. So let's say you're not here to hear me ramble, which is completely fine, you want to just see the nomos, you can head straight down to the description, click the little timestamp, it will take you straight to that and you can see all the details just about the nomos. So yeah, I just want to quickly say, I've been discussing with a couple of collectors recently about the drop that we do. You know, every Saturday, 9:30 a.m. there's a drop. Now, occasionally there isn't, but for the most part, you can expect to go on the website on a Saturday and see the new watches. It means there's a consistency and you know when to go there, right? I think it works really well, but what it does mean sometimes, and this is only certain times of the year, there's a backlog. For example, I have 3 more drops after this one already planned, as in another 30 watches already lined up beyond this 10, so that's 40 including this 10, that are not yet on the website. And it does make it a bit tricky because some people only use the website. Now, a lot of you probably watching this use Instagram, you're on our broadcast list, you keep an eye on things, so you know what's not yet on the website. But for a lot of people, they don't, and they wait for the website. So it can be quite a wait, sometimes a month for a watch that's ready to go on the website to actually get there. So some collectors have said, what about just doing the watches on the website? As in, when you get new watches in, if you get the time and you can sit there and do all the photography, which I do in batches at the moment to make it more efficient. But let's say I just crack on with it as and when I get new watches in and put them up straight away. Is that something that would be of interest to you guys? Do you think a change of the system would work, or do you think the drop is best? And again, something to emphasize is this backlog isn't always the case. It's just certain times of the year, like January, that are more people want to sell typically in January because they've got, you know, whatever it may be, whatever situation. So January, there's a lot of sales. We buy a lot more. So again, the backlog increases, but then by usually March, April, May time, it steadies out and it just becomes quite consistent, maybe 1 or 2 drops ahead. So let me know down in the comments. Obviously, another way to combat that is more watches in the drop. You know, do we increase to 15, 20 watches in a drop? You know, do a real big, crazy drop. The downside of that, in my opinion, is certain pieces can get lost in that. So for example, there's a really cool Seiko on the table. It's not awfully expensive, but it's cool, it deserves the attention. But if it's mixed in with 20 watches, you may miss that. And I get it a fair bit already where people go, when they see a watch sold, because we do that on Instagram, we put a little sold on a piece, they go, I didn't know you had that watch, because some people don't scroll through the website of 5-6 pages of watches. So already we're in that predicament. So yeah, I'm interested in hearing your guys and girls' opinions. So if you have an opinion, either leave it down in the comments. I don't tend to read the comments too often, so feel free to send me an email, info@KibbleWatches, with your suggestions, whether it be drops, whether it be anything you have. I'm always very interested in hearing feedback, especially constructive criticism if there is any, or just general ideas and opinions. You know, it's always intriguing to me because at the end of the day, this is a small business. I do most of this, so you know, I'm not going to get things perfect every time, obviously, and there's always more to be done. So let me know. So now we've got that big ramble out of the way. Sorry if that was of zero interest to you. Hopefully you skipped along to the pieces you already wanted to see. But let's crack on with what it is you're here to see. And before doing that, what's on wrist? I'm wearing my personal Rolex 6694. This is an absolutely gorgeous watch on its original rivet bracelet. This is my perfect Rolex for me personally. I've had other Rolexes. I've been fortunate enough to have owned a couple over the years. And as much as I love them, they're not me. Whereas this watch is very much me. It sort of fits with my style and what I like and being a bit more under the radar. So again, it works for me in that regard. And I will be trying to get another one soon. I always try and have a 6694 for sale. The last one went. So I'll keep an eye out for a nice one at a good price for you guys and girls. But let's crack on with what you're here to see. From one small Rolex to one of the biggest Rolexes they ever did. This is the Rolex Datejust II. A very, very cool model, especially if you like a bigger watch. And I've said it before, these look and feel like modern Rolex, right? So if you're a vintage fan, all you like is vintage, this isn't going to be for you. But if you want that Rolex that looks modern, as in other people look at it and go, that's a Rolex, this is one to consider. So let's take a closer look at this one. Now to start this week off, we're looking at a Rolex Datejust II. This is a gorgeous 41mm with the silver dial and the baton indices, as you can see, date over at 3 o'clock. A white gold fluted bezel, and the watch is paired on its original oyster bracelet. as you can see right here. So a really nice configuration, super clean and classic for those of you that like the bigger watch. So obviously keep in mind this is 41 millimeters, it's beefy thick lugs and a thick bracelet and everything like that. So this is a, you know, a Datejust you know you're wearing. This isn't going to be like putting on a 36 mil with a concealed clasp where it's sort of hidden. This is definitely on the bigger side. So as I say, keep that in mind. This is a reference 116334 and this exact model's from March 2017 with its full box and paperwork, its complete bracelet, and we just got it back from a light polish. So you may still see a couple of hairlines here and there, but overall really great condition after that light polish. Just makes it look like new again, or close to new. Inside, behind that closed case back, let's show you, which is obviously plain, is a automatic Rolex caliber 3136, and obviously this has the single clasp, meaning just the lever to lift up, no double safety or anything like that. So really, really comfortable, really streamlined on the wrist. And again, the Oyster, I like on the bigger Datejust. Personally, I prefer a Jubilee on the older Datejust, on the 36 mils as well. But on a bigger Datejust, I think the Oyster suits it a bit better because the Jubilee ends up looking quite large. You know, it's not for everyone. And again, with a blue dial or a brighter dial, again, I think I prefer the Jubilee because it matches with the brightness, whereas this I think works perfectly with the Oyster. So let's show this one on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go on my 7-inch wrist, and whilst it's no surprise, and I've said it before and a lot of you know me will know this, I prefer a 36 mil Datejust on my wrist. I can totally get away with this 41 mil, and I have to be honest, I almost look at them as different watches. So a 36 mil Datejust versus a 41 mil Datejust, I don't think is as simple as just the size is different. They feel like different watches on the wrist, and I think this, as I said in the intro, is just like a real, you know, you look at it, you know it's a modern Rolex, which again is sort of the selling point of a watch like this. If you want a modern looking Rolex, this is definitely one to consider, especially with that big white gold fluted bezel. It's gorgeous, catches the light amazingly. So you're looking at 41 mil by 49 mil lug to lug, 11.5 mil on the wrist and 21 mil on the lug. So a little awkward, but there are options out there. But to be honest, I think the Oyster bracelet suits it perfectly. So go check out this watch on the website today. From there over to a watch I've had a few times. I absolutely love this. I'm always happy to get one of these back in, especially different dial covers and things like that. This is a gorgeous Amiga Speedmaster triple date automatic from 2005. Beautiful condition, beautiful watch. Let's take a closer look. So next up, an Amiga Speedmaster automatic with this gorgeous silver dial, silver bezel, silver bracelet case. So it's very monochromatic, right? It's all kind of one tone, which I think looks really good. And this kind of design suits leather straps beautifully as well. I actually think I would wear it probably more on a leather than I would the bracelet. But yeah, at first glance, this looks very complicated, but once you understand how to read it, it becomes very simple. So you have your traditional chronograph, which is you start, stop, and reset, and you can see the chronograph seconds is now going round. You have 30 minutes up at the top and 12 hours down at the bottom right there. So that's your chronograph explained, nice and simply. On the left, you have your running seconds. You can see that spinning around nicely, and you have a 24-hour time zone. So it'll tell you where you are within the 24 hours. So right now you can see it's just after 10. So that is at 10 a.m. and it lets you know if you're in AM or PM. You can see a pointer date right there. So that's pointing at 13 currently. You have your day, which is Monday, and February in the other one, so your month as well. Super easy to set as well. A lot of people see this and they get very confused. They think it's going to be a nightmare to set. This is really, really simple. You have one push button in the case. Typically with watches like this, you have loads of push buttons that you have to press for different things. This only has one, and that only changes one thing, which is the day of the week. So if I was to press that, it would only change the day of the week, you know, to Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so on and so on. Then what you do is you pull out the crown one position and you go one way, which is that way, to change the pointer date. And to change the month, all you do is go past 31 and boom, you can see you're now in March. It is that simple to set this watch. So if you've not worn it for over a month, all you got to do is go around with that, and let's say it's Wednesday, you then get your little tool and push that to Wednesday, and then off you go. Super simple, super easy. Do not overthink it. It's very, very good. So this is the reference 3523.30.00, and this one's from October 2005 with its box and paperwork. It's in great worn condition, but nothing major at all. And it has the old style Amiga clasp. For those of you that are unaware, this moves, so you have to push it in and fold the clasp over into the hole like so. It takes a couple of minutes to get used to, but once you're used to it, it's nice and simple. They created this so it fits over the hand easier. Some of you with smaller wrists, but larger hands will know it can be a pain sometimes to squeeze the watch over your big hand and then get it on your smaller wrist, whereas this makes that really easy. Nice signed case back right there, which is a clip-on, and inside is an automatic Amiga caliber 1151, which is basically a heavily modified, Valjoux 7750 with all the complications and stuff like that modified by Amiga. So nice, simple, easy to use, easy to set, easy to wear. So let's show it on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go, on my 7-inch wrist, you can see that is one good looking watch, super comfortable, and a lot of complication in the size at 39mm by 44mm lug to lug, 14mm on the thickness, and it actually wears that thickness really well, so it's not overly thick, and 18mm on the lug, so endless options for this one. As I say, a nice leather strap goes a long way for this watch, and I believe there's one included in the box, so see the box shot as well. So go check this one out on the website today. Now on to another Amiga Seamaster Quartz. I was hoping to have the other one still on the website. Well, of course I won't, I want to get watches sold, but I had a faded bezel, exact same reference, exact same year, and this one isn't faded, so it was cool to have both, and you could see the differences. But that one is sold to the person who, if you're watching this, I hope you're enjoying it. Such a beautiful watch to do enjoy, and you saw this one, so you sort of made that decision, which is cool. But yeah, let's take a closer look at this non-faded version. Really, really cool. Next up, an Amiga Seamaster Quartz wave dial. This is the Pierce Brosnan era Bond watch, as a lot of you will be familiar with. So you have that subtle wave dial, which is absolutely gorgeous, and personally I prefer it to the new modern wave dial because the modern wave is very bold, very big, whereas this is so subtle. In some lights you can't even tell it's there, and others it just pops that ever so slightly little bit, which is beautiful. Nice blue bezel. You can see this hasn't faded. It's probably faded slightly to what it was originally. It was probably an ever so slight deeper blue, but again, it's not completely faded like the other one had, where it was almost grey, which was gorgeous, but not for everyone. So this is more for the people who want that solid blue colour. The case and bracelet are unpolished, so we're leaving them that way, but as always, if you want it polished, we can get that done for you in additional cost and time frame, so just let me know. Helium escape valve up here as well, which obviously just keep screwed down unless you're actually diving, which I wouldn't recommend doing with a watch that's over 20 or 25 years old. It's just not worth it personally. This one's circa 1998, has no box or papers, but it has one of the largest bracelets I have ever seen. I believe this is more links than standard. I couldn't quite find exact bracelet link count, but I'm pretty confident this is bigger than usual, and it's more links than I've ever seen on any of these ever. You have your push button clasp, you have your dive extension which pops out as so, you have to just make sure that clips in, and you have your signed screw down case back. Now inside is a Quartz Amiga caliber 1538, and the reference to this one, I just realised I haven't done that, is 2541.80.00. Very simple. Reference screw down crown, as you'd expect, and as I say, unpolished. It is worn, so there are scratches throughout. It's been loved and worn over the years, as it should be, but a simple polish would bring this up to new if you wanted that. Personally, I like these with a bit more wear, but it's all subjective at the end of the day. And what I can always do is polish after. I can't undo a polish, so if you're like me and you prefer it like this and I had it polished, that option's gone, right? Unless you wear it, but hey ho. So let's show it on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go on my 7-inch wrist. Really good looking, great proportions. You could almost fit another one of my wrists in this bracelet, which is absolutely mental. But what you're looking at dimension wise is 41mm by 47mm lug to lug, only 11mm on the thickness and 20mm on the lug, so nice and easy to swap out the strap. And these do look good on suede, like a blue or grey suede. I think looks really great on this, or even brown. So go check it out on the website today. Now from there to a Nomos Tangente Sport Neomatic 42 date marine black. A very, very cool watch. Definitely on the bigger side, so do keep that in mind. Maybe book an appointment if you're unsure on how it will fit, but if you wear bigger watches, you're comfortable with them, jump on this. It's going to be great. So let's take a closer look. Now on to a Nomos Tangente Neomatic. This is the Atlantic black dial with the gorgeous blue numerals, popper red, and those vibrant luminescent hands. The thing I like about Nomos, even with a simple, quote, simple black dial, they still have these crazy pops of colour with the Bauhaus design, which I think really works. Nice date over there at 3 o'clock, and 100 feet stated in red as well. Obviously bigger case size on this one at 42mm, and we'll talk more about dimensions on the wrist. But as always with Nomos, keep in mind they do have relatively long lugs for the case, but this one has a nice slope down, which definitely helps. Screw down crown at 3 o'clock, and it's on its very nice Nomos bracelet with its signed folding clasp, and still 3 micro adjusts on there, which I think is really good for the smallness or the size of the clasp. As we look at the case back, you can see an exhibition case back showcasing that beautiful movement, actually really nicely decorated for the price point. That's an automatic Normos caliber DUW 6101, and this is a reference 581 as well. This watch is from October 2020 with its full box and paperwork, and is in nice worn condition, nothing too major at all, even on the clasp. By the way, just keep in mind this is an absolute fingerprint magnet, so I do apologize in the video if you see some of the fingerprints, just keep that in mind. But once you're actually wearing it on wrist, you don't tend to notice it as much. So let's show it on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go on my 7-inch wrist. As I say, it's on the larger side, but it's still, I can just about get away with this, I think, on my 7-inch wrist. I would say if you have a larger wrist, this is going to sit better, and if you have a smaller wrist, it's going to be a bit tough to pull it off. But again, size of watches is so subjective. I know people with a 6-inch wrist who wear large Panerais, and vice versa, people with like 8-inch wrists that wear 32mm watches, so it's all subjective. But this is 42mm by 52.5mm lug to lug, 10.5mm on the thickness, and 20mm on the lug, so relatively small lugs considering the size of the watch, and it is quick release as well, so you can swap it out nice and easy. But go check out this watch on the website today. From there over to a gorgeous skin diver. I've always been a big fan of this reference. The original was great, but again, quite pricey, quite hard to find in original condition, so this is a great option. This is the Aquastar Model 60 re-edition in 37mm, perfect. Now on to the Aquastar Model 60 skin diver, and the reason I absolutely love these kind of watches is they look great on pretty much any strap. Brown leather, black leather, suede, NATO, a mesh bracelet even, you name it, this is going to look good on it. And the skin diver aesthetic can cover so many different ranges, as I say, from vintage to modern, and this one is based on an old model of the Aquastar, and this is the reference M60, and this one's from June 2023 with its box and paperwork. It has a unidirectional steel bezel, and you can see the loom has got this beautiful faux patina to it, which actually looks like vintage tritium. Really nicely done. Date's hidden over there at 3 o'clock. Screw down crown also at 3 o'clock with the logo, and a screw down nut back case back, which you can see right there. Better photos on the website as always, but a nice case back. And inside is an automatic Le Jeu Perret G100. So a few more brands are using Le Jeu Perret. They're another Swiss movement maker, creating high quality movements at slightly more affordable prices, allowing brands like this to not necessarily offer the high price that sometimes Sellita or ETA can be, but also not they can keep the price relatively high for what they're offering and not throw in a Seiko, for example. So hopefully that makes sense. But really gorgeous watch. It comes on its original NATO strap, but as I say, a leather strap, maybe even a brown suede, that would be my choice. But then those of you who know me know I throw brown suede on pretty much anything. So let's show this on wrist and talk dimensions, because again, this is where this really shines. And here we go on my 7-inch wrist. Now, I'm not the biggest NATO fan in the world, but these kind of watches do look great on NATO straps. So what you're looking at is 37mm by 47mm lug to lug, so really great dimensions. Only 12mm thickness. Do keep in mind if you're wearing it on a NATO, it will add to the thickness. And 19mm on the lugs, so a little awkward, but there are options out there. WatchGecko do some great options at pretty affordable prices for the quality you get, so go check this one out on the website today. From there over to my favorite watch on the table, I think the only true vintage watch. Again, I'm working on it, there's more coming, don't worry. This is a 1967 Universal Geneve Unisonic Buzzsaw dial with red, which is incredibly rare. Some of you may remember this from before. I'll talk a little bit about that, and we'll take a closer look. Let's have a go. Next up, a gorgeous watch, and one that some of you, as I said in the intro, may remember was on the website before. And if you saw the shout out we got from About Effing Time, this was something that George Bamford spent a lot of time talking about in that episode. He was saying about how great it looks and everything like that. Now, that episode was recorded, I think, a month or two before it was released, maybe less than that, but it was definitely quite a bit before that episode was ever released. So I had already taken this watch down, and I didn't know they were going to be talking about me in that episode or anything like that, or that this watch was even mentioned. But I took it down to add it back to my personal collection and enjoy it. And after that video came out, I completely, to be honest, forgot I had the watch. And that episode came out, and I was like, oh, right, okay. Let me get that watch back out. And what I decided to do, because the case was polished, someone had done an incorrect finish, I decided to have it refinished, have the case all brushed again, and have it cleaned up and serviced again. I had it serviced before, but quite a while before, so I thought with these tuning forks, it's always best to keep on top of them. So I had it reserviced again, and it's running absolutely beautifully. I'm ready to be enjoyed by someone, so whether that be George Bamford, if you're watching this, here it is, or anyone else who fancies themselves a bit of this. It is gorgeous, it is rare, and with Universal Geneve being bought again, I think it's going to be something I will definitely regret selling at some point, but at the same time, I can't keep them all. So this is the reference 852101, and it's from circa 1967. The reason it's called Buzzsaw dial is because the dial almost looks like a buzzsaw, and it's a red version. They also made a blue version. I've seen more of the blue than I have of the red. I've never seen another red really for sale. So really, really rare piece to finally get. And inside is a tuning fork caliber 251 by Universal Geneve, and as I say, 1967, absolutely beautiful. This isn't its original strap, but I think it suits it beautifully and really works with that dial. You've got a nice original tritium on that dial as well, so really gorgeous. Date over at 3 o'clock, and to change the date, you just wind forward essentially, and you've got to get it right on that bit so it really changes over. There you go, you can see how that goes. Something to keep in mind, these are older watches. They're not always going to be absolutely perfect. You know, you just saw that date change over part of the way and then needed a little helping hand. That can happen. You know, this date hasn't been changed in a while, so sometimes you just got to get those gears turning, but don't freak out too much, right? You know, if you want perfection, buy a modern watch, as I always say. So let's show this one on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go on my 7-inch wrist. Beautiful proportions and perfect on the wrist at 35.5mm by 39.5mm lug to lug. Nice cushion case right there. Only 10mm thick, and a lot of that is in that massively domed acrylic crystal right there. And 20mm on the lugs. It's more like 19.5, so you can put a 19 on it with a bit of wiggle room, or squeeze a 20 on, which is what I've done here. So go check out this beautiful watch on the website today. From there over to an Archy Watch original, a glossy black dial, 36mm, a gorgeous Patek Philippe Calatrava kind of style, and just really, really beautiful with a manually wound Solita. Great value for money. Let's take a closer look. Now onto the Archy Watch, and this is the glossy black dial, as you can see, absolutely gorgeous, super simple, and in certain lights, everything just disappears. It just becomes this black dial with subtle indices, but then you catch the light and those hands just pop. Really, really beautiful. This is based on an old, or influenced by an old Patek reference. You can read more about the brand on our website. We do a little bit of a brand history there. You can understand a bit more of why this was made, but a really gorgeous example. Nice case, nice thick nutback, screw back case back, as you can see. Limited edition of 100 pieces, and this is the reference 2525-1. And what makes this one even nicer, there's no running seconds, and it is manually wound. So this is a manually wound Solita SW210 inside. Again, the value for money on this piece I think is brilliant, and the strap is beautiful. It comes with another bracelet as well, which is a JB Champion style bracelet, and this one's from circa 2023 with its box and paperwork. As I say, original strap right here as well, which is super comfortable and suits the design of the watch beautifully. Not a huge amount to say on this one, other than if you're after something of this kind of design, at this kind of size, this is definitely something worth considering, and if you're unsure, you know, book an appointment, come see it for yourself. This dial is gorgeous. So let's show it on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go on my 7-inch wrist. Just works perfectly, really, really comfortable. Sometimes less is more, as they say, and this is definitely the case with this one. 36mm by 44.5mm lug to lug, only 10mm on the thickness and 20mm on the lug, so endless options. And something I forgot to mention, this has an acrylic crystal as well, so it will scratch, but you can polish it up with a bit of Polywatch and elbow grease. So not to worry there, but go check out this beautiful watch on the website today. From there over to a Tissot PRX. This is the 40mm steel and gold bezel with the white dial, automatic, great watch, great value for money. Under £400 for this. It's just insane how much watch you get for the money on these PRXs. So if you're new to automatic watches or new to watches in general, pick this up. It's a great gateway piece to other things. So let's take a closer look. Now onto the Tissot PRX. This is the 40mm automatic stainless steel with the gold tone bezel and the white dial with the gold tone on the inside. I think it really pops, and it's really nice, and I like the fact they didn't put gold through the bracelet, because again it creates that all steel look with just that pop of gold right there, which I think really, really suits it. I'm not going to bore you with the reference to this one because for some reason Tissot make it like 1,000,000 digits long, so you can see that on the website if you want. But this one's from circa 2023 with its watch, with its box and booklet. It doesn't have its original paperwork, unfortunately. That's been lost at some point, but it comes with our 12-month warranty. As you see, exhibition case back right there, showcasing the automatic Powermatic 80 movement. That's a movement with an 80-hour power reserve, which is very, very good, especially at this price point. Signed crown at 3 o'clock, and really nice case design and chamfers, as well as the bracelet. The overall design of this with the integrated case is very, very good. And even at retail, I think these are a bargain. So when they become pre-owned like this one and under £400, it's just a no-brainer at that point. It has the butterfly deployment class, whatever you want to call it. Some people tell me off because I use deployant and deployment interchangeably. And some places say that is perfectly acceptable, and some collectors say absolutely not. How dare I? So I apologise if that offends you, but hopefully you understand exactly what I'm saying. So yeah, as I say, circa 2023. Value is incredible, and if you've been after a PRX for a little while, I'm surprised you haven't got one already. These are, most collectors seem to have them now, but if you've not experienced one, now's the time to pick one up, especially a huge saving on retail. So let's show this one on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go, on my 7-inch wrist, really comfortable, really great proportions. At the 40mm, so 40mm by 44mm lug to lug, only 11mm thick and 27.5mm at the widest point, tapering down nicely to the clasp. So go check out this beautiful watch on the website today. Now on to a really beautiful Seiko Presage. This is the Archy dial, 40.5mm SARX, so the SARX 029. Again, great value for money for what you get with this lacquered enamel dial. So let's take a closer look. Now on to a gorgeous Seiko Presage automatic. You can read more about this dial on the website, but you can see that glossy black dial is incredible and offers a huge amount of value at this price range because it's very hard to find dials done this well at this price. Really nice matte finished hands, which again contrast against the dial nicely, and I like that they did the date surround in the same tone as well. Big bold Roman numerals printed on the dial, again very, very nice, and just works with the overall design, and especially the counterweight of the second hand with that open moon sort of design, really, really beautiful. This is the reference SARX 029, and this one's from October 2022 with its box and paperwork. Nice big signed crown at 3 o'clock, and it comes on its original leather strap with its deployment buckle, which is very nice, as you can see if we open it up, and it all hides away nicely. As we flip it over, you're presented with an exhibition caseback showcasing the automatic Seiko caliber 6R15, very reliable movement that Seiko have used for many years, manually wound, hand wind, that's the same thing, hand wind, automatic, and hacking as well, quick set date, everything you could possibly want. And a nice profile to the case with the brushed and polished parts and the polished bezel as well. Really, really attractive. And as I say, if you're after something a bit dressy, but from Seiko with automatic and all the bells and whistles and reliability you can expect at an affordable price range, this is definitely one well worth considering. So let's show this one on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go, on my 7-inch wrist. The strap is on the traditional way for Seiko, which is where the tongue comes towards you as opposed to away from you, as it is traditionally in the West, basically. And if that's uncomfortable for you, just switch it around. It's super easy to do, but I've left it on the way Seiko do it from factory. So this is 40.5mm by 47mm lug to lug, 12mm on the thickness and 20mm on the lug, so you can swap this out nice and easy. This is a very dressy strap, suits the watch beautifully, but I think, like a simple black suede strap would really sort of tone it down, make it very wearable with t-shirt and jeans, or even keeping it on this. I'd wear this with t-shirt and jeans comfortably. But go check it out on the website today. And last but by no means least, probably the best bang per buck or value for money, whatever you want to call it, watch on the table today. That's a Benrus Sea Lord Classic Diver Automatic 39mm, and this is under £500 for a hell of a lot of watch for the money. So let's take a closer look. Here we go. Now another dive watch inspired by its past, but done beautifully and boldly today by Benrus. This is the Sea Lord Diver. You can see nice matte black dial, big bold indices with sort of tritium looking loom, so a nice faded loom, and the bezel is also loomed, so all the numerals and everything you see in the bezel glow beautifully just as the dial does. Nice profile on the case. I would say a more stubby case profile, and what I mean by that is shorter lugs and a thicker case, so it makes it wear nice on the wrist. A couple of brands do this kind of design, and I think it makes it really comfortable for most people and most wrist sizes, so again, it's a good option to do. As we flip it over, you're presented with a nice signed screw-down case back, and inside there is an automatic Soprod P024. Again, another brand like Lejeune Perret that we spoke about earlier, that are creating good, high-quality Swiss movements, but at more affordable prices. So again, brands can still keep that Swiss branding, as you see Swiss made, but but at a lower price point than they would be able to typically with ETA or Solita. Not always the case, but most of the time. This one's from 2023 with its box and papers. Its box is like a little Pelican case, which is really handy, and the papers are just basically literally a card, basically. So do keep that in mind. You're not getting anything too crazy, but it makes sense with the price point. They put the money into the watch rather than all the packaging, which is what you see with some brands. Comes on its original Tropic style rubber strap with a Benrus signed clasp, which is very nice, and it's a very nice Tropic rubber strap as well. Screw down crown at 3 o'clock, as you'd expect. So let's show this one on wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go on my 7-inch wrist. Hopefully you can see what I mean by the more stubby case, you know, the short lugs and the thicker case. It just makes it sit nicely on the wrist. So this is 39mm by 45mm lug to lug, 12mm on the thickness and 20mm on the lug. So endless options. And again, this is the kind of design that will suit a variety of straps. So be sure to play around with that. But go check it out on the website today. So there you have it, guys and girls. This week's drop, 10 incredible watches on the table. Something really for everyone at all price ranges. Again, this is always the goal and something I will aim to do for the rest of Kibble Watches' future, you know, have the variety from a couple of £100 to multiple thousands to tens of thousands, right? I think collectors collect that range, so why shouldn't the dealer cater to that as well? So you can come to one place, build that rapport and that relationship and that trust, you know. I say to customers all the time, my goal isn't just to sell you a watch, I want to sell you the right watch. So I want to work with you, understand what you like, what you don't like, and I will be very honest, as a lot of you will know, and some of you to your surprise at times, I will say, I don't think this watch is for you. I don't think I should sell it to you. I think you'd be more fitted for this, or we should wait if this comes in. Which again surprises some of you, because obviously you think I'm just going to sell you whatever you want, and of course if you really want it, I will. I'm not going to say no to you, but I will try and work with you, especially if I know you, and that's the goal. That's what I want to be able to achieve. And again, it just builds long-term trust. If I say something's really good and it's going to fit your collection perfectly, you can trust that objection or quote, whatever. Hopefully you get what I mean. But anyway, a lot of rambling this week. Hopefully less rambling next week. We'll see you all then. Take care and have a good one.